Hey everybody, I'm so excited to see you tonight. I'm Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and tonight I'm going to show you step by step, fully focused for beginners, how to paint this amazing Stranger Things fan art piece. I'm so excited about it. Now, there are some things about this that look complicated, but I'm going to really break it down and explain it simply. And I have a ton of help material. If you check the description below, you're going to go to the website where there is a step by step, where there is a grid, where there's a traceable, and where there's a reference, so that you can have everything that you need to be able to follow along. Also in the description are the materials and the brushes for tonight's show. So lots of early information that will help you succeed. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hey guys.
He's also your secret weapon in that, like, I'm going to succeed and do really well on this painting because he's going to be tracking me with cameras. He's going to zoom into the action. You're going to see everything that's going on with the brush. You're going to see everything that's going on with the mixes, and you're not going to be left wondering or mystified as to how something's done, because that's our whole thing, is just trying to break it down and make it as accessible for you as possible, but also fun, because Stranger Things. We've got the Demogorgon and Elle having a big battle in the woods. So this is very season 1. Just so you know, it's taken me a while to come to my artistic space with this property. You know I love fan art, even though it is the most risky of all arts. I guess I'm a risk taker because it's so much fun. And I just love this show so much. And I imagine you do. Remember, on fan art, try to keep that for personal enjoyment and education. I'm going to turn around. Let's jump on in and talk about this beautiful painting.
All right.
Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. So let's look at this. Oh, we can go right here. You're right. You were a good call. All right. So we're going to be starting out with cad yellow, cadmium orange, quinacridone magenta, a little cad red. I'm probably going to be just using that mostly in his flower. 2 parts phthalo blue, 2 parts phthalo green, and titanium white. And that's how we're going to begin. And I might even put out a little more titanium white. Also through this project, I'm going to be using Mars black and burnt sienna. Definitely going to be using those. Okay. And my other big thing, we're going to talk a little bit about the background. And the backgrounds are done with these very nice soft brushes. This is a 1.5 inch. This is a 1 inch. And these are called Bulletin cutters. They probably look to you a little bit like house brushes, but how they're different is these are boar hair and they're flagged at the end, and that helps make this soft background, right? So that's something they're going to be going through. We're also going to be using glazing medium, and I'm going to pour that out. And that's just going to keep our paint from drying out on us too slowly in these conditions. It's a really great product. I really don't want to misinform you though. This is called acrylic glazing liquid gloss, but what you've got to realize is this is actually an extender. It lets you thin the paints and glaze with them, and it also slows down the drying time. Other glazes speed up the drying time. Art companies just like to make it fun and crazy for us like this. So Golden Artist Colors, acrylic glazing liquid. No, I'm not sponsored. I just really think you should know what it is so you're not frustrated later. Now, in this, I'm really excited to share this with you because on this 13 Days of Halloween, we're painting live together every day. I really wanted to make something that felt like the show, that sort of dream quality of the show, and capture their environment and capture the creatures and main characters, get some of the energy that we were so fond about, but make it simple enough so you guys could do that for yourself. Now, to start out, I have my 11 by 14 surface here. Boom-de-boom. And we like to put wishes on our surfaces to put some good energy out into the universe. So we have a wish for Donna, her brother, and the whole family to just have love and support around them through a terrible loss. Her brothers crossed the Rainbow Bridge, and they are just having those feelings that I think we can all relate to. Personally, I have a wish for kids to have fierce moms like Joyce and for all missing children to come home. And then, as per the usual, a license for Disney.
Oh, yeah.
So I can be an official fan artist, licensed and stuff. Yay! I would love that. So I'm going to just mist this with my mister to sort of take this watercolor pencil away. I'm going to use my cutter here. And that's just to make sure that it's not coloring my paint as I go to do it. I wouldn't want to get my canvas like sopping wet because these can bow when they're really super wet, and we don't want it to be super wet. Now, I'm going to take this 1 inch brush and I'm going to put a little bit of the glazing medium on it. And I'm also going to load some white, right? You see how I'm doing that?
Yeah.
I'm going to come over and get some yellow. And I'm going to work my corner. And I'm going to just dust back and forth. There is a slight curve, boop, 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 to my wrist as I'm stroking out this brush stroke, right? The glazing medium will keep it from drying out on me too fast before I have a chance to control what's going on. So I want to have a little control over what's happening. I've gotten a stronger yellow color there. You can see I'm still just softly dusting. Where I want this to have a soft edge, I come over very gently with the edge of the bristles and I soften that out. Can you see how that's done?
Mm-hmm.
You want to add a little white into it. You get a stronger amount of white and blend that in, and you start to get those multi-tonal, really amazing backgrounds. Now my next part of the background, I'm going to take a little bit of my quinacridone magenta and my cad orange together. They make a really interesting color in pairing, I feel. I like it very much. And I'm going to go ahead and load this up a bit. And it's all right if we get a little of the white into it and a little bit of the glazing medium. And we're going to come right here and continue to brush this out. And you're going to see right away that that atmospheric background that you guys were like, ooh, I almost kind of wish this wasn't a monster one because I really like that background. We're going to come right here, just blending that in. How does this work? It works because the brush has those flagged ends and because the paint is still wet. If my paint was dry, it wouldn't do that soft, gentle blend. Okay, so as I'm going through further, I'm going to grab a little more magenta and everything into this mix. I'm going to pull that in here, as you can see we're doing. I might grab more glazing medium just to extend my paint. And look how this is going. Just softly, softly blending, 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 blending as we would want. You can see you can come right here. Oh, that's very atmospheric. It is really a fun technique. It's about keeping that pressure light on the brush. Now I'm going to come and mix some of my phthalo turquoise. You can see it's 2 parts phthalo blue, 2 parts phthalo green. If you have phthalo turquoise, go ahead and use that. That's just fine. But it's easy enough to mix, and it's one of my very favorite colors, so I tend to demo mixing it quite a lot. Now I'm going to bring a little bit of the turquoise and this color up the side here, as we might do, just to kind of maybe make that part of the wood a little bit kind of purple, a little more quinacridone. And you can see we are just going, if you need more glaze, get more glaze. This is the half tone between the turquoise and the bright colors. Okay? It's your most challenging part of the painting is doing your half tones. Now I'm going to rinse out a bit, but what's really important is that I'm going to squeeze out as much of the water as I can from my brush. These brushes are wonderful blenders. You've seen a bunch of oil artists use them over the years, and they are fantastic, but if they get too much water, they start to fight your acrylic paint, and you don't want that. Now I'm going to take a lot of my white on my brush and get again a little more of my glazing medium, and let's grab some of our turquoise and begin to blend in. See how that goes so nicely into that transitional color? That half step can help us.
Oh, yeah.
Each time you do these backgrounds, they might be a little bit different. Yours shouldn't be exactly like mine, right? It shouldn't be, you know, a photocopy of it. It should be like it, but not the exact same. Get a little more white onto here as I'm moving up through this space. I can get a little more kind of atmosphere going. And there we go. Soften those edges. Soften those up. Soften those edges. And then I'm going to come down, I'm going to load up quite a lot more of my turquoise down here. And I will go ahead and get the rest of my piece in. Little white, little glaze. You notice that in technique, what I've done is I've avoided the water, right? Used it as sparingly as possible. There's the traditional one hair that all bristle brushes contribute to your canvas. They're kind of like a bag of holding in that there's always another hair. They just magically regenerate. You would think after years and years and years you would have a brush that was super hairless, but you don't. Now, I think it's nice to come back in with a little bit of, you know, maybe some white. See how I'm adding a little bit more atmosphere? Once you get familiar with this technique, and it's worth practicing, it's a technique worth doing. It's a technique worth getting familiar with. Look at that gorgeous background. That's acrylic, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
That's how awesome acrylic is, man. Now, I want there to be a slightly implied opening here, right, for the Demogorgon to be in. So, really, seriously, he could have just, come out of a tree, as we all well know. Maybe you don't know, but if you don't know, you should know. It's Stranger Things. It's on Netflix. Watch it. Unless you don't like scary things, and then definitely don't watch it. Because if you don't like scary, it's a little scary. A little bit. Now that water's a little bit dirty, and I'm not sure that I don't want to change it at this stage. Before all this is totally dry, though, I'm going to take a little bit of my orange and into my yellow. I need glazing medium to improve flow, I will. And I'm going to come over here. And from the top, coming down, this is a number 8 cat's tongue for my brush line. I'm going to bring a skinny little tree down. Now you'll notice it picked up a little blue, and actually that's good. I want that. Because I'm going to come right here with a little bit of my turquoise into that. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And the tree is almost like 2 tones. So the part that's up in the air, that wonderful tree. I'm going to get a little more of that magenta right there. A little more yellow. That little fellow looks like it's kind of in the light. Now he's kind of at a curve, and I want another one at a curve here. So I'm going to go ahead and get some more color. I'm going to come a little bit in front, and we're going to end maybe right there, okay? Just about a hand in. Now, if you guys are having trouble like marking where objects are, we're gridding later, but the grid is on the website, and that tells you the positioning of things. So it's not just good for drawing. It can help you figure out where to put your traceable on the canvas, and it can kind of let you know where your things go in relationship to each other if you have trouble visualizing that. And that's reasonable, because sometimes it can be hard to visualize, right? So bring this down here. Nice little tree. I'm going to come get a little more yellow and a little more orange here for the top. For our crossing trees. Go ahead and grab some turquoise. And blend that in. Isn't that cool? And these come down not necessarily all the way to the bottom. You notice that I'm leaving about 2 fingers from the bottom on those?
Yeah.
So that's an important thing. I'm going to grab a little bit of my Quin and Cad orange. And we're going to make our straight up and down tree. This one almost joins here and comes straight up. If I need a little bit more flow off my brush, I just grab some glazing medium or water. Hey, that's cool. I like that. I'm going to get a little of my turquoise here and put this little trunk in a slightly cooler values because it's shaded. While I'm here, I'm going to get a little more turquoise on my brush, and I'm going to make little lines. These I'm talking about, and can you see I'm just like a soft upward stroke. They're very misty. They're far away. We don't really see them. This is how we're talking about the distant brush. The distant trees. things that have been broken off in the rampage to get here. As you do. A little more of my two colors. I might even get my cat red into it, just kind of deepening up over on this side. I'm going to come, it's about a hand. I'm going to come down from the top. And bring this into the blue. I'm going to get some of my turquoise. And I bet you've figured out the drill by now.
Mm-hmm.
Bring that up. And sometimes I will make little other twigs with that. I just think it works really well to imply that misty forest. Now, many of you I know came for just the background, that you're like, I'm not actually painting the rest of it. So that's perfectly okay. If you did, you'll be done in a second. So now I'm going to take a little of my turquoise into my magenta as I'm coming over. And it might get the red and all those other wonderful colors. And I'm going to make some other big trees that I have. Isn't that nice? Little depth of a tree. Glazing medium if I need to blend it out. Because again, extender, flow agent, retarder. These are important things. Just grab some more of that paint. Now maybe this tree is not quite as perfect. So say right about here, I'm going to come like that and a little bit bent. See?
Yeah.
I think it's good to add some wonkiness to your woods. Not every tree on the way to Mordor is perfect. Because I'm an expert on that trick.
Right.
There we go. We got a little bent crookedy tree.
I like it.
And we're going to add some little bits of other trees that are here in the background, little lines. Just grab some of your paints. See how we're implying little bits of things are happening. And they feel distant. Thank goodness. I'll rinse this out a bit. I got to make sure it's super dry. I will stop after this next layer because that's actually when we're going to let it dry and I can take a few questions. So if you've got some questions, it'll be a great time to ask them. I am super excited to do this part. I've just got to get my brush dried out as much as I can without over fluffing it.
Mostly everyone would like to know when you're coming back to Tennessee or their local neck of the woods, wherever they may be. They want you to come visit more.
Working on that with Michaels. We'll see how that goes. Nothing on the plans for Tennessee, but I really enjoyed Pigeon Forge, so I'm open to it if it comes up again. And we have an event coming up at the end of March, which I don't know how safe it is to talk about it because there's only 25 seats. So I don't want to like create a panic.
So yeah, we'll talk about that more
But
later.
there'll be free events and things coming up.
Yeah.
So as we know, we'll put that out there. But let me get this while it's still wet.
Yep.
And then we'll do the questions. All right, I'm loading up with some white, and I'm going to get some glazing medium into that just so that it'll flow. I'm going to grab some of my turquoise, smidge of my yellow, and I'm going to make these really energetic strokes. They sweep up, they're going to blend into what's there, and this is the forest floor being disrupted by this epic battle. That's what you're talking about here, epic battle. I'm going to grab a little more yellow into it. Kind of make it a little more greeny. If I need to, I may step back and lightly mist my canvas because sometimes even with everything, it tends to get a little bit, there's this like working time, which is why I was like kind of hustling John along a little uncharacteristically because you've got to get it when it's still sort of wet and malleable. Now, if I have to, I can always just barely touch the end of the bristles, like get 2 drops of water onto something to help improve the flow and the blend. And I do want to leave some of the tree trunks here showing through this energetic, another sacrificed bristle. There we go. But blending so that they're nice and kind of into the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now at this stage, you're going to dry it completely and you're going to put in your grid. To do the grid, you would come along and make a mark at 2 inches, 5.5 inches, 9 inches, and then make vertical lines in that space with chalk. Today I used this teeny tiny piece of chalk. And then 3 inches, 7 inches, and 10 inches to go across horizontally. Again, teeny tiny pieces of chalk. This isn't oil pastel. This isn't anything that's going to stay on the canvas. It's something I can remove with a damp brush easily. I don't press really hard because I don't want a bunch of grid marks. It's actually why I've been moving away from the pencil, because if anybody presses too hard, those grid marks get left in there, and it's hard as a beginner to know to adjust for that. So I went through and got my grid in a little bit early so we all didn't have to deal with gridding time, but I'm still going to talk you guys through it. So how I use the grid, let me get this, is that in each square, so you see there's the 2 to 5.5 inch square, there is this much of the head of the Demogorgon that is open coming through. I don't think this is what the Demogorgon looks like in D&D, but that's fine, right? And then I'm going to come over here into this square and I draw just what's in that square. And that's how I know how to place his head, and I know where to place his body, is using that grid to do that. Now at this stage, only he is going to go in, all right? Her head, and I might give myself a little guide there so I don't get too big with 11 or L for the super fans, which we all are, except for my beautiful, wonderful mother-in-law, Linda, who for some reason still hasn't watched. But convince her that she should, because she's probably here. Because she should. But it gives you an idea of how big to make things. So those marks will really help me get that in. Now I'm going to let you guys kind of get caught up. I'm going to sip my water. And if there's any questions, it's a great time.
Let's see here.
Just throw those at me now.
Is there any chance we're going to get to see a supernatural tutorial this year?
Yeah. I think we're going to close out. I've been painting. You'll see it pretty soon. Yeah, I've been painting Baby as requested. It was really tough because I was like, let's paint Castiel. Because an angel in a trench coat and a tie, that's just too fantastic. And I'm not saying that won't still happen someday, but the #1 request was for Baby. And so even though I have car dread, since I faced Christine, I felt like we got to at least do Baby. Because they're kind of like, wouldn't they be like natural enemies, like Christine and Baby? I feel like so. There would be an angel and Baby. Angels are kind of jerks, though. So I'm not really sure what I would wish in Baby. Better spirit than an angel. Fairy? I don't know.
Let's see.
Any other questions?
Oh, yeah, I'm just scrolling up here.
Okay.
There was a bunch of
my
questions.
collar is a hot mess. Somebody needs to tell me these things.
What's that?
No, nothing. I meant them.
So, yes, everyone agrees a Disney license would be the excellent next thing to have.
If I get one, just trust me.
Now,
I'm going to teach so much art. In fact, Disney should do it because I'm going to make so many future artists to work there. I'm going to set that company up forever. They should totally help me.
Now, there was a question earlier about mixing paint and paint brands and levels of paint. Is it okay to mix them around? Use different... It's not going to be an issue?
Okay to mix oils and acrylics, but it's perfectly fine to mix acrylics with acrylics.
What about different grades of acrylic? Like totally student paint?
Yeah, they mix together just fine.
Yeah?
Just fine. In fact, sometimes I'll use a student paint white as a glazing white and use it with a professional paint if I don't have any tint white in. The cheaper it is, the better.
Gotcha. Now, where can you find the traceable at?
The traceable, if you check down below, so there's this description that they give us on YouTube. It looks like 3 lines, I know, but if you hit more, there's 50,000 characters they give me. And I literally, every single video, use up every one. And there's all kinds of extra information, other things that I recommend that you have, links to the materials so you can at least know what they look like, but you're not in any way obligated to buy them from my links. There's also, right under the first three, there's a link that says traceable and extra info. It's a weird TAS number. You click it, it's going to take you to the website. I highly recommend creating an account on my website and signing up for the newsletter, because that's when you know things. Check newsletters so you know things that I'm doing. Otherwise, you won't know.
That's right. Otherwise, you won't know.
I think that's about the amount of time we would have gridded for.
Grid.
But you can kind of see how this works out. And this tool we'll continually use. This is there for you on the website, so you can grab that and drag it and print it out for yourself.
What's the appropriate name for that gizmo that helps keep your hands off your painting?
Maul stick.
A maul stick?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it also called a bridge?
Bridge is a different tool. Bridge is a table tool, so because it makes a bridge over your art surface so you don't drag your hand through the charcoal.
Gotcha.
A maul stick, I mean, you could have a bridge for an easel, but it would come out and it would look like a bridge. It would be a structure that holds you off and you can rest your hand. Most people use a very fancy tool called a maul stick, and it's a beautiful bit of lambskin leather, and it's all stuffed with something special and this nice wood that never does anything. You can literally just stuff a sock and stick a stick in it, and you'll have a maul stick. So, try it, make your own maul stick. Maybe I'll show you guys sometime. And then if you love it, go invest in the really wonderful bougie one, but don't worry about it. So you make sure that it helps you.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
That does.
There's a lot of cool art tools out there, and they work really well for some people, but they don't work well for, nothing is universal. We're all such unique creatures. I'm super excited about this. I think he looks cool. And I really like painting him.
These turned out really cool.
Yeah, I feel so. I strongly, strongly feel so. So I'm putting out my brown and my black now. I think that will very much help me. And I'll start laying him in, I think, with my number 8 cat's tongue, and then I'll change it out as I need to. So I'm going to load up my brush with black, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint in his whole silhouette, just initially. Maybe I'm going to get a little brown into it, so there's that undertone, right? And we're going to just paint in his silhouette in black. And I like to exaggerate things. So, but it's still very true to the Demogorgon's form. I really looked at a lot of the concept art for the show to get a sense of these creatures, besides watching it over and over and over again. Now on my second pass through from the beginning. I don't know what I'm going to do when it ends. It's going to make me very sad. Very sad. So here we go. You can see I'm just painting this up. Now, I'm not going to do the hands till I have a smaller brush, because those are delicate work. So I'm still using my number 8 cat's tongue. And I'm going to use it to get, maybe the shape of his arm and stuff. But when I get to his hands, I'm going to definitely want to switch it up. You want to switch it up. All right, now I'm going to come through the back, and I'm going to swoop that in a little more exaggerated way. I gave him a little bit of a buttocks because he has a buttocks. That always makes me go Forrest Gump. I don't know why it does. He shot me in the buttocks. Just Tom Hanks. Bless him. Bless his little Tom Hanksy heart. Now, you'll notice that I will sort of fade the leg kind of like this. This is because we're going to put a lot of mist there, and you want to kind of see that there's some leg there, but not the leg, if that makes sense. So there's an implied continuation of the form, but not the whole form. How are you guys doing? Are you liking this new deal?
Yes, this is really good. Now, how many hoots do you think this would be?
I think with all the extra help that we could call it a 2-hooter. I think we could be 2 hoots. Now, on the website, though, you're allowed to, create your own hoot opinion, and I could vote 2, and you might be like, no, 1 or 3, or we don't really have higher than 3, but... And 3 honestly encompasses quite a lot now.
It does. It's a big spectrum.
I didn't really ever expect people to hang with me past 3 hoots, and I think we've gotten a few people who are past 3 hoots now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that was just bad planning on my part. Well, you know what it is when you start out, you don't think someone's going to do 100 paintings with you or 200 paintings with you. You really don't. I thought people would paint with me like 20 paintings and then move on to something else.
But
they stayed.
Thank you for staying.
So when his mouth is closed, if you don't know, he just looks like a big weird ball. And then when he wants to eat something, he looks like an orchid. And I dig that about him.
He opens up big and says,
Yum.
Humans taste like big bacon.
He did kind of come into our world going, snacky snack. All the snacks in the upside down are terrible, but your snacky snacks are nummy nums. I might have a mind flare painting in me. I kind of have an idea of something I want to do. So there might be some more in this thing. Unless, they write me and say, you have no rights. Drop it, and then I'll be like, I'm sorry. I will stop painting your awesome stuff. All right. I'm going to continue just, making sure that he's got a nice coating of paint, right?
Yeah.
He can be a little streaky, but you don't want him to be too streaky at this stage. So you might need to do a couple coats just to make sure that the coverage is good. Sometimes brown is a little transparent. And that might be something that you got to adjust for as you go. Now, here towards him, right? We've got this. I'm going to have to be really kind of careful because that is, you don't want like black on black can be a little bit challenging to see. But you can see these are like these little pointed leaf diamondy shapes. Totally doable. I would say the weirdest thing about all of it is the teeth, which also make it look like a flower. Brilliant designers that created this. Brilliant, I say. I'm going to go into some very dark black just so that I can see the difference of this leaf mouthpiece to the other leaf mouthpieces. Now I'm going to kind of make each one a little bit bigger so it's believable. We want to make it look like you can swallow anything but a hummingbird. Right?
Yeah.
If all he's going to swallow is a hummingbird, not that threatening. Creepy. Not ideal for sure to be in your woods, but not that threatening. Now I'm going to, while everything is here, I'm going to show you, I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to remove some of my chalk where I don't need it because I'm only really going to be using this little bit of chalk down there for her. Clean up the chalk, 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 chalk. Clean up the chalk, 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 chalk. You can't clean it up if he's wet. The paint's not dry. Don't clean him up till he's dry. But you can see that gets our painting right back to us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And again, this is a step in the step-by-step. So if you're feeling lost, please take advantage. If you're feeling lost, please take advantage because you would see this part of the painting process on your step-by-step. And I'm starting to do those. I don't have them for every 700 video that I have yet. I don't know how long it'll take to go back and rebuild them or even if I can. However, going forward, we're doing them and here's why. Because I really truly believe that there's an anxiety when you're painting with me. And those step-by-steps will give you something to not feel like I'm pulling too far ahead of you or you don't know where we're going. I know you guys have pause. I know you guys have rewind, but it's an extra anchor to help you visualize and see where you are in the painting. And it really makes a difference where I've used them. Everywhere I've had them, people have had really spectacular results. So please, please take advantage. All right. That's my PSA today. Is that funny? Use your step-by-steps. They will help you. Be awesome in art. Okay. So we've got him here, and I've got to paint in his creepy little hands. And to do that, I will get a number 4 round from the Art Sherpa line. And I might come in and, refine some of the design elements that he's got. As you can see, I am. You'll see me dip in water and swirl around. You see this action? I go dip, brush is dipped halfway up the bristles. I'm bringing basically 2 drops. And I swirl it into the paint until it becomes a thinner consistency, much like craft paint. The reason heavy body paint can be harder for new artists, or just really painters in general, is the modification of the heavy body paint to more fluid processes. But it is doable. Now, so I'm going to bend the wrist there. Let's bend that wrist. Get a nice little bone that we're going to have. And then I'm going to really pull up a pretty long hand paddle. See how this is a very long hand paddle? May even go a little bit longer, because he's got quite a claw.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to bring the thumb out. Thumb goes outwards like that. I'm going to kind of thicken that up. Now we've got the thumb. Swoop it in. See how we're getting that nub? That's what's sometimes hard, is to get that nub. Take it out a little bit further. Now here's a joint. Bend that joint to define it. And then pull this up. And then release pressure to make the claw.
Ah.
Claw!
I'm going to zoom in on that next time.
Okay. I'm going to pull this first digit up. It's a little thicker at the thing. We'll pull it up. There's the first little joint. And because there's an next joint, it's going to get, I'm pressing lighter and I'm kind of bending. And then I tip it to a claw. And let that blend into the hand. Oh, we've got a friend here. This finger will be longer than this one. Just a little bit. And see how those little bends? And I lighten for the claw. I just lighten my pressure and I get a claw. Claw! I'm here. Pinkies are smaller, right?
Mm-hmm.
This hand I love because it's so malevolent. It's like you're both about to do some sort of swipey thing. And that's always scary.
So, see, this is where you're misunderstood. See, he's just like, hey, give me a high five.
He's really not.
This is cool.
Dude, he's really not. He wants to plant you with stuff. There's a real, like, Sigourney Aliens 1980 vibe going on here. So, I'm going to go ahead. I make this little joint right here. You can see me push my brush up gently to get that little ball joint. Then I'm going to come down about the same amount that I came down over here, right? So I'm going to pay attention sort of my hand size. But I'm going to bend this line a bit. See how I bend it a bit?
Yeah.
That's important. And then I'm going to come down with this line. And then also do a bend here. This is how I'm starting to form this much more activated hand. Oh, we got a thumb joint, don't we? So we're going to come out and pull it out. Blend it there. Bring it to a joint. Get paint on your tip. Bend it. Now, one last joint and lighten it for the claw. There you go. Scary. Scary fingers. In this particular place, I'm going to do the middle joint first so I can place the other two. I'm going to dip in water, 2 drops, then my paint. I'm going to come out to the first joint, drag the brush back to control my line, bend, and bend. Oh, that's a very good claw.
I like it.
Let's bring this little pinky up here. Bend. Claw. The claw. The claw. Yeah, I mash up all kinds of movies. Don't tell Disney. Pretend I'll be super brand loyal. Okay. I'm going to pull this joint forward and pull that joint forward. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now I'm going to go through and just refine any lines or shapes or things that are bugging me that I want to, make a little more nefarious. I take it in and I sip my drink. And before we put in his mist, do we have any questions?
Let's go back and take a look. I have been watching you switch. Let's see here. You said this was we asked about the hoots here.
Two hoots.
They like the claws. Yes, those claws are very, very. Now, is this a student paint? Is a heavy body one you're using here?
No, these are all pro paints. I'm using acrylic by Senlier. Their student paint is abstract, and it is the only student paint that I really kind of endorse and paint with. It's really good for student paint. But I'm a big baby and I use the pro. I was like, I'm a baby, I use the pro paint. But I just don't like to be messed with when I'm painting, so like in any way.
Gotcha. Now, there was a question. If you're just starting out and painting on poster board, do you need to gesso that, or is there a prep you need to do for that?
See, the thing is there is, but I worry that if you're on poster board for budget reasons, I'm not sure you can get the stuff that is the prep. But ideally what you do is you'd seal the poster board with an isolation coat like GAC 100, GAC 100. You might be able to write the company and like see if they've got. Sometimes if you check your local art store, they do demonstrations, and at those demonstrations for Golden Paint, they give out free samples.
Check it out there, yeah. See if you like it.
And Michael's has it, and you can get it on half off coupon. So shop sales, I have gotten it very cheaply, and it would go a long way. It would like seal hundreds of sheets of paper. So you seal the paper, the GAC 100, and then you would go over it maybe with a gesso, like 1 coat, 2 coat, and then you'd be able to paint on the poster board and have much less of the warping and really challenging problems that you have with poster board when you're painting on it.
So
it's not really acid free, so it's not archival. Otherwise, we'd all just paint on poster board.
So before we go on there, they were curious. Why the late hours, Sherpa?
Why the late hour?
Why the late hours?
Because whether you are a Sherpa, a Sherpanista, or a Sherpazoid, we have people across all time zones, and I realized that all my show times really alienated a whole demographic of people. Not like I was intentionally, you know me, I'm never trying to intentionally alienate anybody, but it just didn't allow people to come to lives. And I was like, could I 1 day a week stay up late? And I was like, I can do it 1 day a week. So this is your day, enjoy it. Why am I so excited about that?
I don't know. Why are you so excited about that?
I think I had enough coffee late in the afternoon that I'm all right. And I feel like my hair is sort of really.
Your hair is looking really good. Everyone
today.
was saying you're looking pretty good today there, Sherpa.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It was a good day.
Good hair day?
Like you get to a certain point in life and there are these surprisingly good days that you like in your 20s, every day is a good day. You like fall out of bed and look amazing. But there's this point in your life where you're like, you wake up and you look over and you're like, oh, everything's okay today. This is one of those days. So I feel like anytime you ever feel like that or have that feeling, you should celebrate that feeling. Sorry, I'm a very weird person. But I teach art for free, so the weird things you put up with for free art lessons.
I'm with you.
You married me for like 21 years. You've opted into this.
It's true, I did.
So we're going to put
totally
the
voluntarily
mist around his legs. This is the next layer of mist before we mist. There's really 3 layers of mist. And I want to make sure that I've got this misted, and then we'll paint his little highlights and his little face in.
You really should run at the first layer of mist.
You should. In this world, yes.
Just
seriously.
get out. Go.
You got to go. So I'm going to load up a little bit of my paint. I'm going to make sure things aren't too wet. I'll get a little white in there. Pretty cool. And I'm going to just I'm not going to take everything out, but you can see I'm just making sure that his legs, what they doing? Disappearing. And I missed before a highlight. You may need to add some white to make sure your coverage is great. And the reason I missed before I highlight is so that I know where I can bother to have highlights. I don't want to take out all the greenish mist that I had behind. So you can see there's getting to be these distinctive layers of energetic mist. Let's dry our brush off. It has one layer of mist left to do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint in the center and put in some highlights. The center is super fun. I'm going to start with a little bit of my magenta and a little cat orange. And I'm going to paint the inside of every little mouth bit like this, leaving a little strip of dark. Come in inside, number 4 round. Oh, this is all nice and red in the center, right? He's swallowing something, so. Maw. Enjoy that maw. Ma, a monster has a maw today. I cannot believe these people didn't just immediately leave town, though. It took them a long time to go. You know, nobody hung in like the Peltergeist neighborhood after it all got sucked into the hole. So I was really surprised that they were like, you know, I just like it here so much. With the mind flayer and the upside down and the interdimensional portal and the weird government experiments. I'm never going to leave.
I don't know what those folks were thinking.
I don't know either. I just kind of ask myself as a mother every day, what would Joyce do? All right, so I'm coming here. That looks pretty good. Not bad, not terrible. I'm going to come and thin my black again, as I've been doing. Woo! Thin it up. Thin it up. Number 4. I'm just strengthening that contrast and defining those little shapes, as you would. I might come in here and kind of put a deep gullet. Place for food to go. Cryptozoology is fun. You know what I'm going to wear? I think it's because I finished the terror. And I'm just still processing all of it. All right. So when you're sure you've got your outlines where you're happy with it, rinse it out thoroughly. So nice, so nice. And we're going to take a little bit of our just magenta and a little bit of white. Because again, remember, he's orchid-like in his mouth.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's nice to get even a little yellow into that, so it just brightens up. It gets more flowery. So let us flower him up. And I'm just going to pull this back in little streaks on the toe of my brush, and you can see that feathers. Look it in there. See that soft feather? So I'm not blending wet into wet, but I am visually blending by creating these soft hair-like lines. I'm going to get some more paint. I don't know why I'm taunting you with that. You probably knew it was happening anyways.
No taunting necessary.
Bring this in here on the inside. Oh, that's so good. You're a pretty monster. Show him your pretty mouth. So I'm going to take a little of my cad red. You don't have to if you don't have it. I'm just going to pop it a couple of places just to, make it more maw-ish. a little more aggressive. Sometimes you want things to be aggressive. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my orange and highlight that side. So that would kind of be like, oh, that's the opening. I mean, we haven't gone so far as to make a uvula, but we're definitely doing commentary. Now I'm going to take my cat orange over to my burnt sienna, and I mix them together, but they're still quite orange. It's not cat orange, but it's still quite orange. And I'm going to come right here and make a highlight right there. And on this side of the maw a bit. And then here on the chest, come in like that. I'm going to come right here to the center part and then make another little bit. This is the light that's going on, kind of reflecting on him. So maybe another little row. And then a little bit there. You know, and then some of these little abdominals. Abdominals! And then let's hit the front of the leg. And maybe some of that leg. That's good, right? So he's got a little light on him.
Yeah.
He's dark, he's creepy, but at least he's found his light, like Tyra Banks says. And he's smizing with his mouth. What's wrong with me tonight? It's okay. I think what it is that I had a stressful thing, and then I got some happy outcome there, and I'm like, woo! Just celebrating. Celebrate the good things when they come your way. I'm gonna just light the tops of these fingers. See how we're doing?
Yeah.
And maybe even get some tendons into that little hand there. I'm gonna come here and get the shoulder and maybe a little bit at the neck. I'm still tempted, even though this is a little more in the shadow side of the forest. I don't like that. I took away my good claw. So what I'm going to do is, before it's dry, I wet my brush, and then I come in and go, no, too much. Because it's your painting.
I like him. Now,
let's also light our little...
Have you done any face tutorials?
Yeah. So, we have this thing called the Big Art Quest, and we started in 2016. We're working on a reboot for 2020 right now. But we started that, and you do that, and you learn all about art things and art terms. And then the next year, we did About Face, where for a year, we did face projects. And just talked about faces and skin tones and faces and hair, and that was a weekly meeting. And now we're doing fairy tales. Tomorrow, I think, is Morgana. We're finishing her up. And she's got a quite detailed face.
Okay.
So lots and lots and lots and lots of face stuff absolutely is going on. If you want to know about faces, there's a whole free course. I think there's something like 30, 40 videos, lots of extra worksheets and stuff like that. I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
All right. Looking pretty good. One last touch. I wonder if I have enough in one of these. Now, I can thin my white paint, but I'd really love it if I had just enough of my fluid paint left. Oh, I do! Too much there. This is why I'm always out of it. Now, this is basically the same consistency as craft paint. It just has a lot more pigment and quality to it. But if you have craft paint, honestly, for what we're doing here, it'll work. We're going to come here, and we're going to make two fees. Two fees are little pointed marks. Kind of think about how they go. That you press a little harder. There's a little hair here. There you go. You press a little bit harder at the beginning and you lighten it, sort of like the claw. And you'll notice that I'm kind of doing a shark mouth here. And what that basically means is that there's a lot more teeth. Lots of layered teeth. Because otherwise, he's not that scary, is he?
Mm-mm.
Just tapping along, making teeth. You know how you know it's teeth? Because your brain has lots and lots and lots of evolution since there's teeth in your mouth. or information from, you know, something. Maybe you got bit by a dog. But believe you me, your brain is very invested in saying something is teeth. And I try to make them, again, staggered and jagged so they look like you would get caught in them and it would be challenging. Now here, maybe the teeth would be a little more upward. Not as many facing out, but they still kind of do go different directions. Teeths. Also helps to say teeths. Teeth, teeth, teeth. You know you've got them teeth. Smiling at me now, isn't he?
Yeah. Little creepy sometimes.
This is that, you know, I've done a lot. This is, which is one of the creepier paintings for this. We only have a couple of like super creepy paintings, but this one, even though it's kind of creepy, is still sort of cute in a weird way because the background is so pretty that it's almost like, well, what's going on here? Toofs, toofs, toofs. I like teeth. On my monsters, they need something to eat. They're not going to eat this little girl, though, I'll tell you that. She is not on the menu. She's not. He made him a mistake. He's an apex predator, so he had no idea that he ran into another apex predator who just looked like a tasty snack. But it was not a tasty snack. So you see how we're just doing these little teeths?
Yeah.
Number 4 round, just using the nice point. You know, nice lines, nice teeth, sharp claws is really about the fluidity of your paint and the point on your brush. This is a big brush, not a fine detailed brush, but you can see I get little detailed lines here, no problem. That's the engineering, man. Do we have teeths?
I think we do.
We have teeths. Okay. Now, also at this stage, we've got the white on here anyways. I'm going to make a couple little marks. These are the little leaves that are being dusted up.
Oh.
Maybe a little bit of energy. Things are being blown open.
Mm-hmm.
Her friends are in the walkie-talkies. They're coming. They got waffles. Hold on, girl. They got waffles. So now the next part of this we're going to do is the figure right here.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to start as a silhouette, and then we're going to add those color layers for her. So that should be fun. I'm going to sip my water and say, how are you doing at this stage? Are you kind of surprised at how this is constructed? It is a little bit fun to paint Halloween things, isn't it?
Yes, this has been really, really exciting. Everyone's really loving doing this one here. And, you know, the colors on this are really pretty amazing.
They're pretty, right?
Yeah, and it's come together really quickly. I've been surprised. It's not taken nearly as long as I would have thought.
No, that's why I was like 2 hoot maybe.
2 hoot, yeah.
2 hoot. 2 hoot. Don't elevate me to a 3 hoot. Vote it down. Hey, 1 hoot. Get more people to paint it. I definitely want to see your versions all over the group. For sure. Breathe in. Breathe out. I don't know who you are watching right now at this minute, but if you are painting with me, take a second to breathe in. Breathe out. You're probably holding your breath. A lot of times new painters hold their breath.
Mm-hmm.
You forget to breathe. So every once in a while I like to remind you to breathe and sort of relax your shoulders and relax your body and just feel a little better.
That's really good. Everyone out here has been enjoying this. They're talking about the different movies that have influenced and they've seen throughout that for Halloween and stuff like that. You don't get to see all the chat, so it's kind of hard to summarize in just a couple things. But you know, they've Goonies, X-Files.
Oh, the Goonies, right?
Yeah. There's some talk about it, you know, out there. Your favorite clown.
I mean, there is an it painting. If you like it, I did an it painting. It's really awesome. It's very true to the series. I didn't include Georgie because I'm not giving that guy the kid, but you do get the red balloon, and they do float. It's him, like before he hits you with the dead lights coming down the pipe. You know, if you read the story, you know.
And they
we
would
just did
generally agree
Christine.
earlier in the evening would be better. These late nights are, a little late.
Oh, they're late for the community?
Little late.
Is this not 7?
It's at 8 some places. It's
Oh,
later.
okay. We could do it like maybe 6.
6 maybe.
Okay.
We'll try
All
that
right,
a
good
little earlier.
feedback.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that's fine by me, man.
Oh, and this may not fit completely on a rock, so this
if you have little brushes,
you don't have to do the entire scene. You could do
just the background.
just the Gorgon.
You could just do the Demogorgon.
I would just do the little face.
So as you remember, I sketched in a little bit of a shape for a head, about the size of a dime.
And a never-ending story would be really good.
Never-ending story.
And of course, the vote for Audrey always comes in.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So I'm going to come down and make a little line. This would be the neck, right?
Could be.
Would be. I'm going to make my little neck. And I'm only making it to know where to put my jacket.
Yeah?
Because they're going to kind of blow that out. Blow that out a little bit. So there's a little bit of wind there happening. Because, she got them powers. Now, I'm going to make a little ball. More the size of a pea, guys. That's shoulders. Right? And the jacket kind of comes out like this and blows a bit. And then on top of that, she's got her little skirt. But to do that, I really need to kind of get some legs in there. So I'm going to come sort of down to the bottom. Let me blow in some skirt here. And then this leg comes down. And it's going to be a little bit bent. See that?
Yeah.
We're not going to see all of it. And then this one is a little bit out. Same thing. See how I curved that brush stroke right there and tapered it into where the calf would be? All of that's going to be under mist. It's super implied, but it's really going to help you see the full figure in your mind. So we're just painting this dark silhouette in first. We're really close to done, guys.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. And then, as you remember, she had that little dress that she wore underneath everything and her little blue jacket, season 1.
Mm-hmm.
She had her little uniform. All right, so there's the dress, there's the jacket. This arm is going to come out. The hand, if you imagine where the hand is, it should be on the fulcrum to what you believe is the upper thigh. Where her wrist is, I'm going to make a little square, very small. See how small?
Yeah.
And then we're going to puff the jacket. And it isn't really, because it's a puffy jacket, a straight line. It's puffy. We're not really going to see it till we highlight and shade it. The hand, seriously, we're going to keep this way simple. And pull this out. And then just carve down a little finger. And maybe talk a bit about the thumb right there. Tiny little hand. You can always add a few extra little fingers if you want. If this is here, then this has to be on the same fulcrum, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put my little square over here. And how I do that, if you're wondering, how do I know where to stick that? I imagine that there's a little anchor here, a little pendulum, and it's anchored here and it swings. Where would it hit? The Leonardo da Vinci sketches taught me to think that way. He told us some very important stuff about anatomy, didn't he? Yeah, my jacket is not totally perfect. It's wrinkled, ruffled, a little oversized. Little bend and bend. Maybe a little finger coming out. So it's just implied. Rinse that sucker out, man.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to come into my brown. Just a smidge of black to like not the brightest burnt sienna anybody ever saw. I might even go ahead and add one of those little drops of water to thin it. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to make a little ear, and I'm going to make a little ear in the mid spot of the head. Just a little thing. You don't have to have the ears, it's just a thing I need. And then I'm going to make little tiny brush strokes that come around the crown. A little more black here. And they're going to be a little bit orderly because she had a shaved head, right?
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if you were here painting this because you just like the design but you've never watched the show. I'm sorry about all the in-show references. You should watch it. Now notice I do let a few of these hairs though show as hairs. See how they come off the head a titch?
Yeah.
That helps it really define itself as hair on there. Then I'm going to get into my orange. It makes a nice highlight. Come here. And especially on this side, you can do a little bit over here. Make the little hair marks. See how we're done?
Yeah.
A little bit back here, but definitely all the way there. A little orange on top of the ear. Rinse out. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow into that whole mix. See what I did there? Yep. Almost a yellow ochre, but it's not. I'm going to make sure I just add just a little few more highlights. On that outside edge, so it looks like she got caught. A little bit of light there. Now, I'm going to put out my phthalo blue.
Yeah.
The phthalo blue. Just a smidge of white. Not its lightest color, but enough where it's not going to look like black optically. I'll come here and do that. Start to paint the blue in for the jacket. I focus on the top, and it's okay to leave some of the black. It helps pull that there. Now here I'm going to sort of move my brush strokes from a left to right direction to kind of imply the blowing.
Mm-hmm.
It helps when you're trying to say something is in the wind or out in the air like that. I'm going to leave a little bit of black underneath the hoodie, as you do. Let's rinse that out. If you want, you can take a little bit of your brown and orange and highlight her hands a bit. Just so that they show just a smidge. I like that. I'm going to take a little black and yellow. So black and yellow. All right. I might even get a little orange into it. Kind of making this very neutral color. And then I'm going to get some of my white. It's going to make an off-white for me. See how that does?
Yeah.
Weird, right? Maybe a little darker so that we can highlight. but still keep it all hot, like off-white. And I might go ahead and get this a little bit wet and kind of use this little rough edged brush stroke to even increase the skirt that's blowing. Rinse, 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 rinse. Now, a lot more white. Oops. Doesn't matter though. A lot more white and blue, so it's much lighter. You're going to come up on the top of the hoodie, bring it down, and then weave it over there. Come on the shoulder and talk about these little highlighted spaces. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can come here and be like, there you go. They've got a little highlight. Seems like something's afoot, right? I want to knock some of it back. I just come back with the blue. You're never ever like in trouble here. Basically just saying some light's catching it. Now I'm going to take this off-white mixture that I made and make a much lighter version of it. Not pure white, but much lighter, and maybe smidge a little more yellow into it. Doesn't seem like a lot until you go over this. See how we're doing?
Yeah.
Now she's got to be dry, dry, dry before we put that next run of mist on her. So this is the one time I'm going to run the hairdryer.
Okay.
Dawn's going to say hi to you, and then we'll finish her up.
So while she's doing that, I'm going to say thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us tonight. Sorry we didn't get the gnomes out. The gnomes were on strike tonight. I had some technical issue with them, and they just they didn't want to go. They were just like, we're not doing it. And I was like, man, I'm gonna have to talk to your bosses. So that's there's gonna be a call with the gnome people tomorrow, and we're gonna see about that. So sorry about that. We'll get on that. Don't forget, use your air mover in the lowest heat setting, just best, so that it doesn't cause any complications with your painting. Just a good idea. And also make sure you thoroughly dry between layers. That way you're not picking up any paint or anything like that in subsequent layers, because you don't want that at all. So there you go.
Nope, still gotta go.
Still going? See, that's what she was doing, is making sure that stays nice and dry, because you don't want your paintbrush to pick up those layers of wet paint and mix them in. It'll just be it'll make a little streaky, not nice, kind of mess. So we'll try to avoid that by just making sure it's thoroughly dry between those layers. And yeah, I guess that's about all the public service I can have about hair moving.
All right. I'm going to take a little of the yellow and work it into my brush like this. I just want it dusted.
Just dusted?
Just dusted. Just dust it. And then I'm going to grab some of my white. I might even just grab up some of that fluid white because I'm just use what I got, right?
Yeah.
And I'm loading up for that last layer of mist. See how I'm just working this through? Got a nice little load of mist. I'm going to pull this forward. And I'm going to create this group of mist around her. You can see how we still see a little bit of her leg. We don't want to take out her hand by any means. We do want to see some of her legs peeking through as a little shadow. You can dust out the rest. So now you've got your 3 layers of energetic mist, and she's standing there battling the Demogorgon. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of my pure aqua in my #1 monogram liner. in my paint a bit. And I am going to paint, and I'm going to sign in kind of a mellow color because I don't want to change the whole design with my signature.
That's really nice. I like how that turned out.
I do too. Tomorrow we're going to finish Morgaine Le Fay.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's going to be exciting.
and then we're getting into like Van Goghs and all that. I finished up another great one that's going up today. Really funny, it cracked John up. And just more is coming. And yeah, we will finish out the 13 Days of Halloween with Baby, which I believe will give us 70 tutorials all free on YouTube about Halloween.
Oh.
That's what we're doing. All right, we'll look forward.
Let's go forward. All
Oh,
right.
it's so pretty. Isn't that pretty?
It's very, very pretty.
Pretty. I hope you're enjoying this holiday season. I love fall going into winter. There's so many reasons to be creative and so many reasons to decorate and do things. And certainly every reason to take a little time for yourself, sit down and paint and let the world just fall away. I cannot tell you how much it helps me, and I hope it's helping you just as much. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.